Welcome back, Snowboarders. We're at the Wired Sport Lodge and our Mountain HQ. This is going to be a deep dive into the nuts and bolts of foot measurement. Accurate Mondopoint foot measurement is absolutely essential for the sizing of all snowboard gear, board, boots, and bindings. If you haven't done so already, please view Installment 1 of this series for a primer and introduction into these concepts. I've linked that below in the description. I'll get right into the basics, but please don't kick out too early. There'll be a common pitfalls section further on in this video, which will cover the measurement errors that we see every day. With that, let's break it down. Our goal in this simple process is to get 4 measurements that will be accurate to the millimeter. We'll need our Mondopoint length and width for each foot. This can easily be achieved with a measurement tool that you already own. It's imperative that these measurements be taken barefoot. Please set aside any info that you may have heard about measuring in your riding socks. That's incorrect. Keep in mind that every millimeter counts. One boot size is a total of 5 millimeters, and every one is important. You can do this yourself, but I'd suggest enlisting an assistant. We're going to need a ruler or a tape measure, a piece of paper, a pen or a pencil, and some tape. Now find a section of wall that's longer than your foot. It should be vertical with no shaped molding. Tape the paper to the floor so that it doesn't move when you stand on it. Now, kick your first heel back against the wall. It should just be touching the wall, but should not be smashing it. Solid contact is all that we're looking for. Now make a mark at the end of your longest toe. Which toe this is may vary by rider. Measure directly out from the wall to your mark. You can measure in millimeters, centimeters, or inches, but be sure to note all subunits. Repeat the process with your second foot. For our width measurements, we're going to place the medial side, that's the inside of our foot, against the wall. Both the ball of your foot and the ankle bone need to be touching the wall. Make your mark at the widest point of your foot. Measure directly out from the wall to your mark. Repeat this process for your second foot. Now for the list of pitfalls that can lead to incorrect readings. These are easy to avoid once you know what to look out for. Number 1. Tracing an outline of the foot is not a suitable alternative to the wall measurement that I described. It'll grow the foot or provide a larger than actual measurement. Number 2. Check for extra space at the ends of your ruler. It's very common for household rulers to have blank space before the index scale begins. Don't use a ruler with this extra space. Number 3. Please be sure that your wall section is vertical down to the floor. Shaped baseboards or shaped moldings will change your measurements and should be avoided. Number 4. Sections of wall that are shorter than your foot cannot be used for width measurements. We need to find a section that is at least as long as your foot. Number 5. Double check that you're using the inside or medial side of your foot for width measurements. Using the outside is usually more comfortable, but it will always lead to the incorrect measurement. Number 6. You may be tempted to use a ruler without marking the floor, either by placing it nearby or under the foot. While this can work in some instances, depending on foot shape, it can also lead to incorrect readings, especially if placed too far from the target area. Marking and measuring as described is by far the most accurate and most consistent method. Great, so now we have our 4 highly accurate foot measurements. Let's put them to use. First, visit our Snowboard Boot Sizer website. I went over using this site in detail in Installment 1, so please view that if you've not already. I posted a link to that site in the description. Please enter the longer of your 2-foot length measurements using the website slider. This will produce your Mondopoint size. This Mondopoint size is the most important size in snowboarding, and it's the size that you'll want to use for boot selection and reference. The site will also produce a US snowboard boot size. This can be used for boot purchases, but it should always be confirmed by your Mondopoint size. US shoe size is a conversion, Mondopoint is not, and it's always accurate. You now know the boot length that you'll need, but there's one more critical step. We need to determine if a wide boot is required. Width is equally as important as length in snowboard boots, and we need to match both to achieve a successful fit. Please use the wider of your 2-foot measurements and visit the width chart linked in the description. Please avoid using alternate online width charts. Many are very bad. I wish that Mondopoint labeling for width was used by snowboard companies, but sadly, it's not. We can still get you a great result using this chart. For a male foot, if your foot is noted as E-width or above, you will need a wide boot. D-width is considered normal for male feet, and there are no narrow boots currently produced for snowboarding. For a female foot, if your foot width is noted as C-width or above, you'll need a wide boot. B-width is considered normal for female feet, and again, no narrow boots are produced. If your feet are normal width or narrower, your boot sizing process is now complete. Riders with wide feet need to be a lot more selective. While wide feet are very common, wide boots are not. In fact, up until a few years ago, we had absolutely no wide options from any brand. We're doing a lot better now, and there are some very good wide boots in production for both men and women. But this still takes a lot of care. Most wide boots give no indication of the boot's width. In fact, only 2 manufacturers list any width at all other than wide. We're also starting to see new wide boot entries much more frequently. For this reason, it's still important that riders with wide feet reach out to assure that their width is matched to the best available boot. We're always happy to help with this process, and we do it every day. So please don't hesitate to post your specific questions in this video's comments or drop us an email. We will get you the correct fit. Now, save these measurements because we're going to use them again in future installments. Barefoot length along with rider weight are the only 2 measurements that should ever be used for correct snowboard sizing. Barefoot length alone is used for sizing snowboard bindings. We'll go into those processes in much more detail in future installments. If you found this content helpful, please like, subscribe, notify, comment, and share. This has been Randy, and I'll be back with more fit tips and sizing mayhem soon. Thanks for joining me.